Hey guys, welcome to my episode. My name's Dan Jukes, also known as the Millennial Mentor. I have a goal and a desire to empower and enrich the lives of as many millennials in the world to become their greatest self, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Let's get into it. There was like a question, like, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? And I ticked it. I remember saying, like, God, please don't wake me up tomorrow. But if you do, I'll change. Like, I'll fight. And that was literally the first ever prayer I did. I've never told anyone that. Because if you go from like someone who's having like suicidal thoughts to a year later, you're having good sleep, you're feeling good, you feel excited for life again, that's a massive win. That's more than like making $1 million, in my opinion. So if I apply the same principle to like business, then you're laughing. Yeah, my change came from massive desperation. I know I've got things to share that I needed to hear. People need to hear like half the stuff we've spoken about, but I don't think many people would say it because they ain't got the courage to like talk about it. But like when you're young, everyone wants to hide all the losses, but that's what people need to hear. That like, oh, it's not just me that experiences. Thank God, like it's not just me who feels like that. It's not just me that does it. So it's like it's almost doing the world a disservice by not doing it. And character's consistent. Like who you are is consistent. Your purpose is consistent. Money isn't consistent. Business isn't consistent. Like it's never gonna be all the way up. Like I said, that's me. Like I really focus on like internal rather than like external.
Thank you, Dan, for coming down from Kent.
Yeah,
to come to do this podcast, and I'm excited to have you on. I'm looking forward to the conversation. We spoke very well last time on the Zoom call, so let's get started.
So the first question I want to ask you is, previously when the cameras were off, you mentioned that you quit your job to go for the entrepreneur lifestyle, but then you went back to your job. Can you just tell us about that?
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, like, as I said to you off camera as well, like, I love to, like, talk about the things that we probably try and hide. You know, like, in this entrepreneurial life, it's so easy to, like, do it all for the clout and do it all for the wrong reasons. But, you know, like, it's important that we address the hard times and, like, the rough with the, you know, like, everything that goes on because it's so relatable because everybody goes through it no matter who you are. And so, like, for me, obviously, we'll talk about my story and journey a bit more. But there was a time I had this, like, goal of retiring when I was 25. You know, I was obsessed with like retirement 25 and you know, what does retiring even mean? But like, I remember getting to a point where I was making X amount in like business and in my company and stuff. And then I made some like investments and they were going really well. Like everything seemed like so good. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what, like I'm going full time. You know, I became obsessed with like the full-time entrepreneur, and it's ego at the end of the day. And then, so I quit my job, and then everyone in their mind's like, well, when I quit my job, now I can do double. Now I would like do more in my business. I'm going to 10X, like, I'm going to blow up. I'm going to be a beast. And then I actually had the opposite effect. And what I come to realize is that most people, they wake up every morning, they're running, their job is pushing them to the next level. Like their job is pushing them to get out. And that was one of my whys. And then I lost it. All of a sudden you wake up, it's like, well, what do I do now? Like I even like stopped going to the gym. Like I was doing less activities, and then, you know, like it was weird to me. And then investments didn't go quite as planned, like all these things. And yeah, one of the most humbling experiences in my life was like went back to the same job with the same person. And I'll tell you now, like that happens a lot. A lot of people go full time and have to go back. They just don't talk about it. They don't tell people about it.
I'm guessing you had no other choice but to go back to your old job.
No, I had choices, but I quite enjoyed it, to be honest with you. Like I quite enjoyed what I was learning, really like great people as well. Like I really respected the people who I was working with, or in particular the person I was working for. And, you know, that was it really. So it wasn't really like, I would never go down. It was like more of like a building, like cut job, like building site sort of thing. Yeah. Like I've never had a job interview. Like I've never been able to do that. Like I'd never had like a CV, never had anything like that.
So what happened when you returned?
It was all right, to be fair. Like it wasn't like as people expect. Like people like, I told you it won't work out. It was all right, to be honest. But then I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. Like I enjoyed being knocked back because I was like, wow, like that lesson I knew was going to serve me forever, and I could talk about it like this as well. Like I've never spoke about it before, but I know it's what people go through. So it was a great lesson, and I'm grateful for it, to be honest.
So why do you think people don't like to show when things go wrong? It's always, you always see the winnings online, but you 100%. Never really see the owls.
I think ego mainly. Like we're all obsessed with what people think of us. We're all in competition with the next person, or like, and it's so damaging. It's actually really damaging because at the end of the day, all that matters is like when you close the door and you're alone at night. That's when things really happen. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this podcast.
Yeah,
but,
you can swear.
All right, cool.
Be yourself,
I'm
bro.
trying not to swear. Actually, that's one of my goals at the moment. I swear quite a lot. But like when the door closes and you're on your own, that's when shit gets real in your life.
Yeah.
So like social media's become. I love social media and I hate social media, as we spoke about before.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we're so obsessed with looking like this person that we're just not. And I don't really get it, to be honest with you. I really don't get it, and I'm just never really been interested in it, never really understood it. But then I think that plays in my favor because authenticity is like such a big, like that in business, authentic people, it's easier to win.
You think so?
Because when you meet someone and they know you're real and you're genuine, you can do business with them a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're hiding something or faking something, it's not consistent because there's only you're limited by time. Eventually you're going to expose. Like time exposes you or promotes you. So if you're playing up and you're like acting like this, but eventually you're going to get found out. Like whether it's 1 year, 2 months, 2 years, 10 years, you're going to get found out. And it's like, so if you just live it like real, you can become relatable to people, and it's, you sleep better at night.
So in terms of your entrepreneurial path, what was you actually doing to make money?
Yeah, so I went to university and stuff, which was like really interesting. Like, probably should never have gone.
You think so?
Yeah, probably just because like I kind of stumbled my way through school, got into sixth form purely because I could play football and there was like an opportunity to do like a thing, like BTEC's everything for me, just like get the points, easy points. As soon as I got to university, I mean, I had a really, really tough time at university, like personally, which, we can talk about. But when I came out of university, so what was the question at the beginning, just so I can...
What
I started doing,
path,
yeah. So when I came out of university, all I remember thinking is like, I've always thought very differently. I've always been a really deep thinker. I just remember being at uni and thinking like, I don't understand this. Like there's however many thousand people here. We're all like in debt by money that doesn't really exist. Like I started thinking like this, and then it's like, and I'm looking at people who have done what I've done so far and where they are in 10, 15 years. And I'm like, well, what was the point in that? So I came out and I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want to do. And that's what everybody else is doing because everybody's unhealthy, unhappy, miserable, depressed, broke. So I was like, anything. And then literally I got a message from a friend's dad and he invited me round for an opportunity. And that was it. I went around his house and he introduced me to into network marketing.
What is that?
So network marketing is just basically, it's the ability to it's an online business where, you deliver a service or a product and you're compensated for it, obviously. But then you can also leverage by building an online business by introducing members and be paid a commission override. So but essentially the company reserves the marketing budget and pays the people instead. So you become the marketing arm of the company.
Okay.
Which is like a really, most people are skeptical about anything other than job, but when you really think about it, it's one of the most powerful business models in the world. But anyway, at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, opportunity, I'll have it, another credit card, let's go. I'm already used to debt. And that's when it started for me. And that's when I started making money. Obviously, I was making money in a job. But that's when I got opened up to the concept. I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time to start making money. But then that's when I initially started to make money. And then
how long's a long time?
Well, at least good money, 2 years.
Ooh.
I didn't make anything for the first year. My biggest check was probably $4 or $5 in a month.
Wow. Okay.
So what made you want to change? What was that point? Because you said you was in university.
Yeah.
And you seen everybody else was in debt.
Yeah.
Was there a fear of just being normal?
Yeah, that. But also, I mean, there's been multiple reasons, really. I mean, even from when I was younger, I wanted to be a footballer. I had that obsession like most people. And although I lost the dream of being a footballer, the dream of having success was always there. Even when I lost, I went for a really tough mental break and all that kind of stuff. The dream of living a different kind of life was always in me somehow. And I always I was taught that you change when your perspective changes, and you're either changed through you're either forced to change through massive inspiration or massive desperation. So you see something and you're so inspired, it sparks something in you, it lights a fire in you that never goes out. or desperation. Like best example is like when you see someone who's like really unhealthy, like really obese, and they kind of like, oh, I don't care, you know, like they think it's funny, and then they go to the doctor and the doctor say you got 6 months to live, and then all of a sudden it like turns around. Or like you see these success stories and they're like, I was in prison, I was this, I was that, and they were pushed. So you're pushed by massive inspiration or massive desperation. Very rarely will you just be randomly like, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to do it now. Like you get inspired by something. Maybe they come across your podcast and they're like, that's really fired me up to get going. So for
what
me,
was yours?
For me,
what was
for
yours?
me, I was definitely pushed by desperation. So like, when I was at uni, I hit a point where I like never imagined where like I literally lost control of my own mind. Like I was just so down, depressed, like for loads of different reasons. It was like a combination of like knowing that I was at university, I was really struggling, like academically. I just felt like an idiot because even the way I spoke, everybody spoke like very nicely. And I was like, well, you can hear how I talk. Like I never really had the good grades, so I never understood like how I got there. Didn't feel like I deserved it. You know, my family wanted me to go, which was great. I didn't really feel pressure of that, to be honest. I was like quite, you know, happy that I did it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. You know, I went for a really like bad like breakup, lost some friends along the way. And like, I was just like so lost and I couldn't work out. And you know, and then I started experiencing like, you know, anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And then there was like literally a night where it was so bad. I remember, I've never told anyone, I've told a couple of people this, but very, very few people know this, but I applied, it got so bad. And this is when you know it's bad, because at the time I was like massively introverted. Like I wouldn't speak to anyone that I didn't know. I'd find it really uncomfortable in new groups of people. And I was like, I need to go and see a counselor. And like, that was the most like sinking like feeling of my life. Like I felt so low and useless, like how pathetic that I think I need a counselor. And they gave me this sheet and there was like a question, like, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? And like I ticked it. I remember thinking, fuck, I was like, this has got bad. And then submitted it and I got a call straight away, obviously. Went up to see this guy. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, how have I got here? And then he's just like, he's talking, and I'm just like, listen, I'm not even here. I'm just looking straight through. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how is this? Like, nothing he said really helped. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him. It was obviously just me. And I was like, nah, like, I can't do this. So I'm getting up, and I'm just going to move forwards. And then, you know, that was the first time I prayed as well. Like I had a really interesting like journey with faith, which I only like come to like 3 years ago. But that was the first time I ever prayed.
What did you pray for?
I remember just like being on my knees and just thinking like, I remember saying like, God, like please don't wake me up tomorrow. But if you do, I'll change. Like I'll fight. And that was literally the first ever prayer I did. I've never told anyone that.
Oh,
And I never felt, huh?
And what happened the next morning?
Nothing happened. This is the thing about change. It's not something that it's not an overnight. It's an overnight decision, but it's not an overnight success like in business. And it's not all of a sudden you wake up and you're a new person. That's the thing with like religion and God. People think I'll get baptized and life's great. No, that's not what happens. You just you feel empowered. You feel peace. For the first time, I remember like an overwhelming sense of like, okay, well, I'm alive. So that's a start, you know, like let's start there. And like I said, it weren't like the next day I woke up and I was happy and joyful. I was sleeping like 1 hour a night for about 6 months.
1 hour?
Yeah. And then,
how
you know,
did you function?
I literally like, it's weird. When I think back, I was just like such a mess, brain fog, and I was playing sports and everything. And it's like, no one would have known like all of this stuff.
Why not?
Because you have like, you're playing a character. It's like every day you walk out and you like put up, like you just play this character and you have to be this person. And naturally I'm quite like sarcastic and funny and all that kind of stuff. And it's exhausting, you know, like when you're trying to play this front. And it's the same with what we just spoke about, like living this fake life.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, you know, like pretending to be you're someone who you're not. And yeah, that's what it was like for me. So I'd wake up, you know, I'd be like here we go again, like another day. And then just like have to go out and just like face it up and then pretend you're all good. And then I remember being in clubs and stuff and I'm all good. And then the moment I become conscious of I'm thinking, I just standing there just like, what is going on? Like start feeling like shit again. But in regards to like the moment of change, it's like, yeah, I woke up. Okay, let's move forward. Let's try and have a good day today. Like, let's just try and get through today. And then it went from there. And then I just became obsessed with like, how good can I feel in like a year today, 2 years today? And then I think like that's coming back to like my journey on like entrepreneurship. I had the same mentality. Because if you go from like someone who's having like suicidal thoughts to a year later, you're having good sleep, you're feeling good, you feel excited for life again, that's a massive win. That's more than like making $1 million, in my opinion. So if I apply the same principle to like business, then you're laughing. Like, I'm making my first £10 doing drop shipping. I know we were talking about that. That is not going to like make you rich, but you compound that over a year, like things start looking good. So yeah, my change came from massive desperation.
Crazy.
That's a nice. Yeah, I was gonna say. So, just looking back on it, was you aware of certain things that were putting you down each and every day? Maybe like some of your habits you was repeating, or
it wasn't even habits. It was just like it was like a lot of it. You know, Steve Jobs always. I always read this quote about like, you can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them going backwards. And I was just repeating cycles of my past over and over again. So like rejection was always a big part of my life. Like, from the moment I was born, you know, like my dad left, like I didn't even know him basically, like all the way, you know, through my life. And then like football, you know, rejected. I remember being in school and I was always just an awkward kid. Like, I've always been quite awkward with like new people. Once I get to know someone, it's like different story. They just think I'm like crazy and like, you know, I enjoy people's company, all that kind of stuff. But new people, I've always been like that. So struggled there. It's a rejected from football, going through a breakup. It's like rejection after rejection. You start to become it. So like, I was always afraid of like friendships, because I was like, you know, I got massively done over by like some friends.
yeah,
So I'm like, well, if I've been to nursery with this guy and 16 years later he's going to do me like that, then how can I trust this brand new person? How can I like, when you go for a bad breakup, for example, that you go into the next one thinking, I'm going to do this just in case this happens, and it becomes like that. And it was just every single area in my life, I was just always too afraid to like give everything, or just afraid this would happen. And it's just like cycles of the past. And in business, that was the first thing I had to face, is like rejection. It's like my biggest fear.
In terms of your friend, you said he'd done you over.
Yeah, now we go in there.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I mean, like, I'll be respectful, because, you know, I've nothing but love and peace. So like, I'm over it all now. But I went through a really bad like breakup, and I was by no means like perfect. Like, it was a young, messy, stupid relationship. But like basically, that relationship ended after like 4 years, and it turns out that my best friend, who I'd known since like nursery, was like, things were going on the whole time.
best friend.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then I found out another one. It's like 3 or 4 of them. And then everyone knew about it. But me. It's like,
that would fuck with you mentally.
yeah. And that was whilst everything else was going on, while I was like at uni. So imagine you go to uni and you're naturally a shy person. You don't feel very clever anyway. And then that gets dropped on you. You're away from home. And you've got to now go and meet new people. I was just like, I don't understand like what I'm supposed to do here. I don't want to go home, because like, it's tragic back there. And, you know, I always say this, and I feel bad sometimes, because I know there's 2 or 3 people in my life who I know I could count on. But at that time, you just feel like so alone, like you can't trust anyone. And I know the people who might listen to this might feel like that might be a bit of a dig, but it's not. It's just where I was at the time. I just felt like I couldn't trust anyone, you know. It was mad. And so yeah, that was that.
Do you still keep in contact? Does he still?
No, man, he disappeared. He just disappeared.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm over it now. Like, I'm at peace with everything, and, you know, it is what it is. Like, again, it made me into who I am today. So I'm grateful for the lesson.
So it was about to say, what was one of your biggest lessons, or a lesson you would recommend to somebody who might be going through something similar?
Yeah, I mean, just like, don't let it affect your next go. Like, don't let it affect the future. Like, I just love people for who they are and how they are. And if they decide to like not reciprocate, or just like love anyway, like, honestly, it's so much more peaceful rather than I was walking around with so much hate like in my heart, and I was so resentful, and angry at the world, like, why is this happening to me? Why is it happening to that? Why has this person got that and I haven't got this? And it turned me into just such a miserable person. And then it was like kind of like on that path that we spoke about that night, I just woke up and I was like, you know what? Like, I just forgive everyone. Like, and more importantly, I forgive myself, because I've been putting myself through so much shit for so long. It's like, it's time to move on. So like, yeah, just love, man, and just forgive everyone, especially yourself.
You meditate?
Not. I wouldn't say I like. It depends. What does meditate really mean? Do you know what I mean? I always say this. Like, people think it's like you sit down and like.
Okay, when I say meditate, as in process your thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like to spend like. Did you know what the funny thing is? Is that I love spending time on my own now, which is scary. Like, when I say that, I don't like, people don't understand. Like, I would do anything I could to like not be on my own, you know, because I was so afraid of like getting in. Like, as soon as I start speaking to myself, it's game over. Like, I just put myself into a massive hole. But now I love like spending time with myself, man. I just love, like, even when I like drive here, I'm just in the car, just like, I call it having a staff meeting. But when you're an entrepreneur, you know, it's lonely. So I'm saying, like, I always say, like, if you see me in the street and I'm talking to myself, I'm not going crazy. I'm just having a staff meeting, and yeah. But it's true, you know, like, you got to build a good relationship with yourself. Like, it's important.
So after you returned to the job, what did you have plans to do anything else after that?
Yeah, it was just do it again.
The same
I
thing?
already knew how to do it. Yeah, I already knew how to do it. You know, like, things like making money, this is the difference between like being rich and wealthy. Like, if you get rich, you make money, cool. But anyone can get rich. Like, I can go and just like I could borrow money, buy drugs and sell it and make money. That's cool. Like, easy. Now you're rich, apparently. But like, wealthy is like the principles. It's like who you are. Like, wealth is something you become. So like, once you understand how to make money, even if you take money away, you'll just make it again.
Okay.
So like, and again, that's what I was pursuing at the beginning of my journey. I was pursuing like the person it takes to make money. I wasn't pursuing money, because I understood like money comes and goes and it's abundance of it. So it was more like, okay, let's do this again. But next time, don't go all in on an investment that way. Like, with your residual income, let's stop like blowing it and start investing it and saving it, and then use my job money to do this. And it made me so much better. And I got another go, and I was super grateful to have, because jobs are really important when you're starting entrepreneurship. Because it's an opportunity to fund your dream.
Facts.
So many people like are too quick to quit their job, because again, they just want to be that guy. Like, I'm full time. No one cares. Like, no one actually cares, to be honest with you. Like, so if say I'm earning $5,000 a month doing a job, or $3,000 a month, and I'm making like $3,000 a month from my business part time. You've just worked so hard to double your income. Why would you just go and half it again? Why wouldn't you spend a year doing your job and invest in it, or like, you know, or invest in the extra 3,000 basically, and in a year's time you could 10x that if you do it the right way, and meanwhile probably grow your business at the same time. Now you're like leaving your job with earning 10 grand a month. It's just leverage. That's all it is. But again, people are just so obsessed with like, and that's what I'm saying to you. I was like, yeah, when I leave this job, man, I'm going to be the boy. Like, everyone's going to love me. I'm going to look like this. I'm going to do this. And it's, no, not at all.
So what was that feeling like when you did quit your job and you thought you had made it?
Yeah, I felt like invincible, man. I thought it was like,
and how long did that last for?
Oh man, I can't even remember. Probably like,
because like, I think we spoke about it before. A lot of people, once they get there, it doesn't last for long.
Yeah. What comes fast doesn't last. Like, probably a year. But I should have gone back. I should have gone back straight away, because I knew what was like, as soon as I felt it, I should have just done it. But again, ego. Like, ego, and I should have just put it. I should have been like, all right, okay, I made a mistake. Let's go back. But I just wanted to like, I don't know, man. I was just like, it was horrible. And the scary thing is I felt myself sinking back to my old self.
Oh.
And like, that's what started to really scare me, because, and again, no one knew this, because I'm not exactly going to tell people, because like, no one cares, to be honest with you.
True.
And so I felt myself sinking back to them old habits, like overthinking. I had too much time on my hands. I stopped going to the gym. I was feeling lethargic, and all of a sudden I was like panicking. So again, I was pushed by desperation to go and get that, to go back to the job, which again, I'm super grateful for. And yeah, it was crazy times. I'd literally, and the funny thing was, like, I'd just gone and traveled. I'm trying to think of the timings now, but you know, it's a bit of a fog. But I went to South Africa. I went and traveled around there for a few months, and was just loving life. And then, you know, investments were just like going wrong for me at the same time. And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, the timings were just all over the place. And yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess.
You said on your journey that you wanted to become a person that had the principles that, so you know how to build wealth. What would you say those principles are?
Well, basically, like, first of all, like, what you know, like just always working on like your knowledge, just becoming knowledgeable, having good network of people around you. That's like invaluable. You know, just like being resilient, learning how to handle like tough times, learning how to handle good times, which not many people know how to do.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like, business, I always say this, like, business can't always be up.
True.
Like, it will never be, you never have a business and it just goes like that. Even like the best businesses in the world have like pullbacks. So you have to invest well on the way up. You see people, they start getting money, they splash it, and all of a sudden it's like gone. So yeah, learning how to handle the good times, learning how to handle the bad times, obviously, and get through it, and you know, survive the storms, as I say, but then also knowing how to handle the good times, how to be sensible, basically. Like all of these basic things, like, and then, you know, a strong mindset, you know, self-discipline, being able to lead people, like leadership. I love, like, John C. Maxwell is probably my favorite person to like listen to. He talks about like being a good leader. So all of these things are all internal. It's like who you are. It's nothing, you know, like, and if you have all these things, you'll make money easy. Like, you'll find opportunities, you'll find people to connect with, you'll find anything, you know, like, or, you know, or like skill sets, high valued skill sets, like learning how to sell. If you know how to sell, you can walk into jobs for fun, like in pretty much anywhere. You learn how to build rapport with people, learn how to build relationships, learn how to, all these things. I was just kind of like just growing and building and building and building. And maybe on the outside, it didn't look like much was going on, but internally I knew I was growing and getting better. And it's like the compound effect.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, things just change.
I do like the fact you mentioned mindset, because I feel like a common thing that I see when someone sits across from me is they always have this mindset of belief. You could say a bit of arrogance, but I'd say a lot of self-belief, and that gets them to the position that they are in, where they make money, they can provide, spend time with their family, do the things that they want to do, and achieve the goals that they're wanting to achieve. So yeah, I do like the mindset. What's ways that you can build your mindset?
Most of the time it's just doing it. It's like throwing yourself in there and working out after. There's only so much like reading and personal development stuff you can do until you had to actually do something, you know? Because like you can say, oh, I've learned how to like hold my breath underwater or something like that, which is cool. But like, how are we going to take that into like something like really productive? Because you don't get paid 10 grand a month to hold your breath for 10 minutes, you know? So like, it's a great principle that you've been able to like callous your mind and learn this thing, but how can we then like go and apply it? So like most of the time it's just like doing things, like going through experiences. Handling losses is the best one. It just, as I say, like David Goggins talks about, like callousing your mind, like taking losses. You just get stronger, you just get wiser, you just get more experienced. And so yeah, obviously personal development is like a non-negotiable, you know, like obviously, and focusing on what goes into your mind is obviously as important as anything. But yeah, I think like if you just do it, man, like just go after it and then like work it out after, and you'll learn all these things.
I want you to tell me, because this is very interesting. I want you to tell me about the person you are right in front of me right now compared to the person you was back then.
Yeah, it's mad. It's like completely different person. And I just truly believe it's because I know who I am. That's it. Like, I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. and that's it. Like I live it I try and live it every single day. Like, we're not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I don't act like I am, but I try and do the right things every single day for the right reasons, most importantly. And you can do the right things for the wrong reasons sometimes. But like, just try and do the right things for the right reasons. And sometimes it's like almost, when you're doing the right things for the right reasons, sometimes you actually have to take an L on purpose, or like take a hit on something, knowing that I'm just doing the right thing. And then, but like the person before was just had no idea who I was, had no idea what I was here to do, no idea like about anything. Was just so lost. Probably didn't help that I was like, like everyone's gone down the rabbit hole, for example. Like I saw you talking to Jacob about the Matrix and all that kind of stuff, which I'm all about that. But that was another thing. I was trying to work out, like, obviously I was lost. I always say I was broken, like it was from inside out. And then you start going down the rabbit hole of like how corrupt everything is, and it just makes you feel, and then it fills you with like fear. If you're not ready for it, you start to feel fearful. And like, I was just a mess. Didn't know what was going on. Like,
so looking back on the person, are you proud of how far you've come?
Yeah, 100%. But I will say, like, I'm not surprised. Like, that honestly, because when I made that decision, I just remember the conviction. I always say to people, when you make a decision to do something, it's like a decision, like the word decide. I love looking into words, by the way, like old Latin words and stuff. There's a word, decide, decidia, and there's another one that's like means to cut off. It's like your old self has to die for like the new you to be born. But I just remember when that one night, I didn't expect everything to change the next day, but I just knew that this is a decision. Like the conviction in my heart was like so strong. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I had no idea I'd end up in business and money, and I had none of that. I was just so convinced that like things were going to get great, like eventually. So like, I'm super proud, but like I'm excited by like who else I can become in 10 years time.
So where did making content come into this?
So I wanted to start doing it when I was like, I'm trying to think, like 24, probably 6 years ago.
Okay.
But I was too scared.
Yeah, because you did say you was an introvert and shy. And
Like I'd say it now, like I don't like being on camera. Like I hate being on camera. I'm still like, again, I'm not afraid to tell people like things I'm still vulnerable of, like I'm still, what's the word? I'm still like
self-aware,
self-accountable, self-conscious.
Yeah, I'm still like self-conscious, and there's still like things like pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't like the look of that. Like, I still I think we've all still got that in us. Not for you guys, you're photogenic as anything, man. But,
thanks, I'll take it.
But yeah, like I've still got that in me. So like, like it's not natural. Like I don't enjoy it as such. Like I do it because of the service. Like I do it because I know it can help someone more than like anything else. But answer to your question is, I wanted to do it when I was 24, and I literally started probably like last year.
Yeah.
And this year, like properly.
So what was the actual reason for the content?
Just because I know that I've got stuff to say that I know people would. I know I've got things to share that I needed to hear. When I was starting, people need to hear like half the stuff we've spoken about, but I don't think many people would say it because they ain't got the courage to like talk about it. Yeah. Maybe when they're like 40 and 50, when things don't really matter anymore, they start talking about it. But like when you're young, everyone wants to hide all the losses. But that's what people need to hear. That like, oh, it's not just me that thank God, like it's not just me who feels like that. It's not just me that does it. So yeah, I just know I got stuff to say that I needed to hear when I was younger. So it's like, it's almost doing the world a disservice by not doing it.
So what's some of the reactions you get? Like, do people ever message you like, thanks mate, I needed to hear that, or I
all
enjoy
the time,
your content? Like,
I'll be honest with you, I don't really get inspired by that because I try and stay completely emotionally detached from it, because I don't want like my ego to be like, oh look, look what I just did. Like it's got nothing to do with me. It's all them. They're the one that sort out the information, and they're the one that like reflect on it and stuff. Because what I always say is like, if I'm emotionally connected to the good ones, I have to be emotionally connected to the bad ones. It's true. And some of the bad ones are bad, man. Like some of them are just like, wow, this guy woke up angry today. So like, I do it for the service. Like I genuinely do it because I know that I needed to hear it mainly.
Yes. So what's been a piece of content you've created and you thought, wow, I actually needed to hear this a lot when I was younger?
What's one like recently? Definitely about like what was one that I did recently? I think it was definitely about like peace. I literally done one really recently about peace, just saying like, if you think like you won't find peace in this world, basically, because when I was like down and out, I just wanted to feel peace, and I thought I'd find peace if I had like more friends, or if I had like a good like if you have a good looking partner, or if I have a good job, or if I have money. But that's not true. No, it's just not true. Like maybe temporarily, but like if you want peace, it's like it's internal, like it's in you. No watch, no money, no car, no partner, nothing can give you like peace like you can give to yourself. Like at the end of the day, so that was one, because everyone's so obsessed with like, when I get here, then I'll feel like this.
Why do you think people are obsessed like that? Because I do hear that
It's
a
the
lot.
ego.
I hear that when people say,
Ego.
when I make this
and
first 10 grand, I'm gonna feel like the man.
make your first 10 grand, you realize 10 grand's not a lot of money at all. It's like you get to the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of the next, and that's just life. That's just progression. That's how it is. And again, ego, expectations based on watching someone else's. You know, like if that was the case, then why do so many successful people like kill themselves? Like, why do successful people get divorced? Why do successful people go through like midlife crisis? You know, like it's just not true. Like it's just not.
So tell me about some of the happiest people you've met.
The happiest. Do you know what? The happiest person I've met is a guy that I met from church. It's crazy you brought that up because I need to ring him. I forgot to ring him back, so thank you for bringing it up. I met this guy at church one day, and I was like just getting into my like faith, really. Like some weird stuff happened to me, like amazingly weird things that made it just undeniable that like God is like after me. Like it was, I couldn't even make it up. And this guy like came up to me and he said like, oh, let's meet for a coffee. Complete stranger, by the way. It's like complete stranger, just like someone mentioned, oh, like this is Dan, or I can't, something like that, something weird. Because I was like, how did this guy like even find me or know who I am? He said like, let's go for a coffee. Funnily enough, at the time I was going through a lot of like bad stuff, the investments and things were going really bad. And also, I'll tell you something else which is funny. Like, like my hair was going, so I was shaving my head now. But I used to have one of them like hair system things. It's like, I don't know if you know. It's pretty much like a wig, but it's like a hair system when you stick it. Like,
you stick it on.
Okay,
yeah, right. And it looked like, it looked cool. But the reason why that is significant in a minute. But anyway, I was like cool. Arranged to meet him, and like. I remember having a dream about being baptized.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's weird. Like, anyway, go and meet this guy for a coffee. And about 10, 15 minutes in, he's just like, just going to like let you know I've got 2 towels and shorts in the boot because I know that you're going to get baptized today. I was like, what? I was like, okay. He was like, should we do it? And then we're going to a local swimming pool. In front of like everyone, a stranger. I was in bad shape, and again, I'm still self-conscious. That's the word I was in. Still quite self-conscious. Was not in good shape at the time. Was not feeling good. The hair system, which I was always very self-conscious, was like I needed to get it redone. But something in me was just like, like I'm so unprepared, but it just feels right.
Okay.
So I just went and like got baptized in this random place by this random guy. And it's relevant because that guy was super successful. I'm not going to say too much because it's like his story. And super successful, making loads of money. And he said to me like he was about to get like something like a 6-figure bonus from his job. And he said that like he felt a calling on his heart to quit everything. And he gave up his job there and then. Said keep the money and threw everything away to like be like he just like serves God basically. He works like 1 day a week. I'm not going to share too much of his stuff because he might see it and he might be like, I didn't want you to share that. he probably won't mind. He's a lovely guy. But basically, he's the most peaceful person I've ever met.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care about anything. All he cares about is like serving people, like genuinely. And he's had everything. and couldn't find, he taught me so much. But he's the most peaceful person I've met. The happy, genuinely, his wife, children, and what he's done for me didn't require any money. But it was one of the most valuable things I've ever had. And genuinely, the most peaceful people I know flex the least.
You think?
Like flex, whatever that means. Like, what is flex?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. So that's probably why I am the way I am, because these are the sorts of people that have been pouring into me. So yeah, like, funny enough, like, the most happy. I'm not saying that people who have money aren't happy. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, like, from my experience, I've seen different spectrum. I know people that are very happy and got millions, they love life. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a different kind of peace in these people, because they know who they are, they know what they're doing, and they live it every day. And that inspires me more than someone like sitting on a Lamborghini or whatever, So yeah.
So that was a nice story.
Yeah, it was great. So what's your end goal?
My end goal, like, I actually said this to you, and like, I really want to share this with people, because this is something that I've like learned and come to terms with. Is like, I'd rather be loved for like who I am than what I've got. So like, as I said before, nice car, money, nice looking, whatever, like, looks fade, money goes up and down, business goes round and round, house is just a pile of bricks, your car is just metal, which is new today but old in 2 years.
Facts.
And like, when you're relevant, it's all good. But when you're not relevant, what have you got now? Like, influencers. Again, I'm not here to like hate on anyone. But like, how many people from like Love Island come out and they're like the talk of they're so relevant, all these followers, and they're like 2 years later, you see pictures of them and they're like addicts or like kill themselves. Because like influence fades. Like, influence isn't forever. If you're not actually serving people genuinely, like, it fades. You become relevant, and then you don't become relevant. People come in, people go. Like, people come into my life sometimes, and once they finish taking everything they can from me, then they go. And I'm just like, cool, because I'm detached from that stuff. You can take whatever you want, because you'll never take what's in me. And character's consistent. Like, who you are is consistent. Your purpose is consistent. Money isn't consistent. Business isn't consistent. Like, it's never going to be all the way up. Like I said, your house, like, anything can happen. 10 years time, your new kitchen is now an old kitchen. Your new car is now an old car. So like, that's me. Like, I really focus on like internal rather than like external.
Okay.
But I also think that once you're good inside, you can have everything outside. And it will multiply.
Why do you say that?
Because you're not attached to it. You're not like most people. The reason why most people don't make a lot of money is because, or they don't find new opportunities, is they're actually a song, right? This is weird, but in primary school, I remember singing a song saying like, I'm not going to sing it or anything, but like the lyrics, imagine that. No, the lyrics are something like, love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more. It says like, it's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you have so many, it's all over the floor. Like, I'll never forget that, because now I look back and I'm like, that's like a biblical principle of like, most people, they're so afraid of losing the little that they've got that they block the blessing of having tenfold. So like, it's the same with everything, same in relationships, like we said at the beginning. You're so afraid to like let someone in case you get hurt, that you block the blessing of like meeting a great person or opportunities. Like, we do opportunities all the time, meetings. People are sitting in there so skeptical. Oh, it's a scam. It's this. And they forfeit an opportunity because they're so committed to like not opening up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, most people, they don't get to the next level of like income because they're so afraid of success. A lot of people. I get people all the time like, say they're like trading. They're like, yeah, but if I get this much, what am I going to do with it? They start worrying about taxes and stuff. I'm like, why are you worrying about when you make it? You should worry about that when you got there. And then like, they're worried about losing. They're worried about winning. It's crazy. So like, yeah.
You know what? I feel like that's a common thing. Like, you know how we always think ahead and was like, yo, what happens when we get there, bro? Like, we're going to have new problems. Then at the same time, we're like, bro,
Still got shit to do right now.
yeah, let's worry about the stuff we got right now.
I mean, there's a reel that's been going viral. I've heard it so many times. It's like, the person who loves walking will go further than the person who loves the destination. Like, I've heard that reel get used and used again, but it's so true. And that's when true. I just want to drop this in here as well. It's like one of the things that I started doing at the beginning, and I tell everyone this, but like it's funny because it makes me look like mental, but also it might work for someone, is like I was really struggling with seeing the end goal because of like who I was right now. So like making 10 grand a month was just like unfathomable. Or like making 5 grand a month, it's like I'll never be able to do that. So I stopped focusing on money and started focusing and pursuing. I would say, you know, like the most important relationship in your life personally is the relationship you have with your future self. Like building a relationship with the person you're trying to become. And what I still do this to this day is I write letters to my future self in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 18 months' time. And like on my 30th birthday, I have a like letter to open. And it's like, hey Dan, like well done for still doing this. Like congratulations on doing this. Like you're well done for sticking to the gym. You look in shape, which I'm looking forward to that one. You know, I've been hitting it hard, but and I started to write letters to my future self.
That's some different kind of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And have you ever opened a letter?
Yeah.
And
I opened one on a
what's that
Zoom call in
feeling?
front of everyone before. I found a letter, funny enough, when I was like in like really, really stuck, I wrote a letter to like my future self like a year later.
Yeah.
And I've got it in my drawer still, and I opened it on a Zoom call and showed everyone live. You know, I was like, don't worry, you're going to get through this. Like everything's temporary. Like, you know, you're going to look back on this and it'll just be a tiny challenge, which everything is. Like everything when you're in it feels zoomed in, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be in a challenge right now and it feels like your whole world is riding on just this one thing.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time, you're going to laugh at how insignificant it was. Because like the biggest challenge is yet to come. Like for you, for me, like I think I've been through stuff, but something bigger's coming, without a doubt. But so is the bigger win. And also I'm a better person, so I'm stronger and able to deal with it. So yeah, I write letters to my future self, like congratulating me, like on doing this, on still doing this, on being consistent and all that kind of stuff. So
You know what's funny? I feel like I need to do that. I feel like everyone needs to do
I
that.
think I might do that
Because
as well.
that reminded me that Mr. Beast, you lot know Mr. Beast.
yeah.
YouTube video.
He recorded a YouTube
Really?
video, set it for like 5 years in advance, 3 years in advance, and he basically made a video to himself saying, "Congratulations, I know you're doing well. You'd be here doing this, doing that," and he exceeded those expectations.
It's powerful. And you know, sometimes you're not going to exceed, sometimes you're going to fall short, but it's all good. You just write another one. Like that's one thing, you should never be afraid of like falling short. Like no one cares. That's what I always affirm to myself. Like, and that's the truth. No one actually
You
cares.
said that a few times. Why do you believe?
Because
no
they
one
don't.
cares?
They don't. Like honestly, they don't. I'll tell you now. When I started business, right? Okay, so when I was like back on my feet, back social and feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
See, like when I went out to the pub, yo, Dan, what's going on? Like, well, good to see you. I'm talking about people that I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like you see them out. How's it going, mate? Blah blah. Yeah, cool. In my mind, I'm still thinking like, what is this life? Like, what am I doing? As soon as I started a business, everyone just turned on me. Everyone was laughing at me, like taking the piss. Have you seen what Dan's doing? Look what he's posted, like commenting on my stuff. That's what I realized, like, okay, so when I'm relevant, when I'm in the pub, when I'm like wasting my life and doing things that I'm not happy with, no one, don't worry. You know, you take a problem, someone in the pub, oh, shut up, mate. Like, no one wants to hear your shit. No one cares. They actually don't. And then again, when you start doing a business, pursuing yourself, that's when you see that no one actually cares about you, to be honest with you. Obviously a few people, obviously. And then now, you know, I've got somewhere, see him out, all right, mate. Like now I'm mate again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what the fuck? What was all that about? And again, it's so temporary. Like, but for me, like I'm built from the inside. So I'm just like, oh yeah, nice one, mate. Like, I don't care. But it's just funny. And I tell you, like, you really want to know how like sad the world is. Like, when I go out sometimes, and you got to remember, like, my perspective is our perspectives are from our experiences. Yes. So I've had a certain experience, as you guys already know now. So naturally, like, I have a different perspective. Some people might be like, you know, that sounds depressing. All my mates, we've got a great group of friends. But if you take a group of 30 people, how many people in that group do you think have done something to each other? Like lied on each other, snake each other? Probably like 90% of them got a secret behind one of their backs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when times get tough, where do they go? They disappear.
True.
Like if you make it, here they come back.
True.
When you lose it, there they go again.
I do hear that.
They care when you're when you're relevant, but like I've heard it so many times. Like the Love Island, like people, I always use that because it's a great analogy because everyone knows what Love Island is. But again, they become popular, all these people around them, and I think I heard a few of them say like certain things like, you know, when I lost money, like no one was there for me, and they would just disappear, and it's true. It's true. And that's why like you just detach from. If I make a good reel and everyone says like, well done, that's well good, like love it, like I'm just like, oh thanks, cool. But I don't care. I'm not getting like caught up in it because tomorrow the reel's old. You know, like this podcast.
Release a new reel.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying to you. If I was making reels because I wanted to be loved, it would be exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be chasing it every
I'd be like,
day.
how many views has that got? Oh, that's shit, blah, blah, blah. I don't. I make it with a message and I just trust that the right person is going to hear it. And I'll make another one when I feel like it.
So, how are you doing now? Deep down inside of you, how are you doing?
Yeah,
That's
I
a
feel
good
good.
question.
Yeah, I feel good. You know, it doesn't mean that like I don't have challenges. Like everybody
Yeah.
has challenges, but I'm excited. Like I feel like I can do anything. Like within, not saying I'm, you know, I just feel like I'm capable of any challenge that comes my way. I'll get through it.
Yeah.
I know like who I am, know what I'm doing. Again, we always get frustrations. We wish we were here at this point and we wish we could be a bit further. You know, I'm 30 next month, which I mentioned to you, which is like quite scary, but it's quite exciting.
Happy belated.
Yeah,
Single.
I'm still here, you know, like I'm still here, I'm still going, I'm still rocking, I'm still doing what I said I'd do. So like overall, I'm happy, you know, I've got like a partner who like, you know, loves me. I'm grateful for her. I've got to make sure I get that in. No, but honestly, I am, you know, like I'm very, very lucky to have a partner that supports me the way that she does and has and puts up with it, to be honest with you. And yeah, man, like I'm good, you know, like I'm happy, I'm grateful. Always after more, you know, like always searching for more, always looking to go to the next level. But overall, I'm good, man.
What's something you're excited for, Dan, that you know is coming?
Something that I know is just like meeting new people and being able to share more experiences and being able to be being a vessel for like other people's journey as well. Like I love it, like even, you know, if someone comes and does business with me for like 2 or 3 months and then goes to do something else, I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to like pour into them for 2 months, 3 months. You know, so I'm excited. I'm grateful that I can be a part of people's journeys. I'm grateful that I can be an addition to people's lives. Like I know this might sound weird, but I wake up every day knowing that I'm an asset to people. Like I know I'm a good person to have in your life, and I value like myself, and I always try and bring whatever I can to the table for people. And so I'm happy and I'm grateful for like that opportunity because I still remember the guy who had nothing to give.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm grateful that I have something to give, something to bring to the table. Like I'm grateful that I can come here and hopefully help you guys with this, and you're helping me, and yeah, I love that.
What about your family?
My family, yeah. My family's funny. Like, it's just we have a really small family, so it's just like my mum. She lives in Mallorca.
Oh, okay.
And I've
In
yeah.
Spain.
Yeah.
Mallorca's nice. That's a very
Yeah.
nice place.
Yeah. And then 2 brothers, older brother and then a younger brother,
Yeah.
and then my nan who lives like local town. So
What
yeah.
do they think when they see Dan on the internet?
My nan is funny. My nan is like, she's like super, she's really clever, like really like old school clever, like degrees and speaks languages and stuff like that. I feel like she doesn't quite get it. I don't know. Maybe she does, but like, yeah, she's not really that, not she's not supportive or hates it or anything. She's just like, just a neutral, you know?
Yeah.
I know that my mum's like really proud of me, although at first she was probably thinking like, what is he doing? You know, like we used to do, so when I first started network marketing, I was doing like a coffee company. I was selling coffee.
Oh.
And like I used to do like home meetings. So she'd get in from work and there'd just be random people in the house just drinking coffee, talking this, what is going on? But no, I know she's proud of me, you know, like, you know, yeah, she, you know, had a crazy life, like a lot of struggles, like worked hard, really hard, and, you know, showed me a lot of great things. And like, I learned a lot from her in like, you know, obviously she couldn't teach me things about like business and stuff because
Do
she
you wish
worked
you had
school.
somebody like that? Because I
No.
just basically something from what you just said there as well. I used to sometimes sit down and think, I wish I had somebody to show me or to teach me the stuff that I know now.
Yeah, but then like my mum taught me different things, like how to keep going, like how to be strong, how to bounce back, which are like invaluable lessons.
Yeah.
Learning how to make money is pretty easy to find people to teach you that, but it's hard to find someone to teach you that stuff. And you know, like watching her like keep bouncing back, keep going, like just down but not out, like that's what I became, you know, at the end of the day. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like sometimes I see, you know, I see guys your age. When I was 22, that's when I literally got invited to the meeting. I was 22.
Yeah.
So when I see people like 20, they're already reading like these books, I'm just like, wow, I wish I wish I did that. When I was 20, don't know what I was doing, but yeah, I hear you, you know, like, you know, but I mean, it's an exciting time to be alive for a young person who's got like dreams and goals because there's so much out there. You know, there's so many people out there that will teach you this stuff.
YouTube, everything. Instagram, everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Really,
But then it's come to a point where it's like full circle because you need to be careful who you're listening to.
Yeah, because there is a lot of people who just, they aren't really who you think they are.
One thing I'm going to do.
Gurus, basically.
Yeah, oh mate, yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I've got it. Please.
No,
I had a phone
like,
call about one the other day.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
again, I don't want to like hate on people, but having said that, like the people that always, at the end of the day, the people that need it the most are the people that get hurt the most. Like if someone, like I had someone approach me, yeah, I'm not being a hater, I'm just saying how it is, but I had this person approach me, asking me, like saying, do I need help with like my relationship or something like that? And I was like, no, but I'm just going to see what this person's like offering. And she's like, you know, telling me about her story. I'm a free spirit living in somewhere in the world, was working corporate and then had a divorce with my husband. I'm like, hold on a minute. You're trying to sell me a relationship course and you're divorced. And I was just like, what can you teach me? Like, okay, maybe you can teach me some things, but like you can't teach me how to have a successful relationship. You might be able to teach me how to avoid the divorce that you went through. But it's like, I'm just like, wow. And then it's like, you know, you got coaches who coach coaches who coach coaches coaches.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying
and like none of them have any results.
Yeah.
And again, it's not being a hater, it's just saying it how it is. Like go and get the results and then go do it. Like I get it that I know that people are passionate about it and they do genuinely want to help people. But like if you're going to charge $3,000 to help someone do something, you need to have done it yourself or at least know how to do it.
There needs to be like an undeniable stack of evidence to say, I
Yeah,
know what I'm doing, bro.
You do this,
Yeah.
and this will happen.
Or just have resources to something, to someone or something, you know, like, yeah, sometimes it is a shame because again, I'm not bothered. It's not hating the person individually. It's that the person who parts with this money is the one that's going to lose out because they're going to pay this money and not get what they would promise
And
because
it is true.
you haven't got it to give.
I like what you just said with desperation. They'll do anything. What, $3,000 you can change my life? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do
And
it.
then, that part comes in, you know, like sales. I mean,
Scammed,
look, let's be honest. I know that I can sell.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to, I know I could sell some really unethical stuff. Like, because selling is a skill. And once you master it, once you know how to dig into people's like pain and create urgency and get them to take action and, you know, NLP, all that kind of stuff. It's real. But that's scary, really.
Do you reckon?
I always thought that.
I was going to say, I don't know if we're about to say the same thing. Do you reckon a lot of salespeople, they don't care ethically or unethically?
I don't know, really. I don't know. I mean, because I don't want to speak on behalf of, like, because there's some people out there that...
Some people, there is some people out there, but what do you think the majority?
Yeah, I mean, the majority is like, that's their job. They make money. They make money by selling, and that's their job.
Whether unethically or ethically.
Yeah, I mean, their job isn't to, like, I mean, most people, their job isn't to make sure that the person they sell to gets what they want from it. Their job is to sell it, to make money. And that's another problem with we live in such a fast-paced world. People ain't got time to think about that stuff. It's like, no, I need money to pay my bills. And that's all that. And I get it, like, to a certain extent. So like, it's that, like, look at, the whole like Jordan Belford type thing. That guy was
Who?
Jordan Belford, like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he was just at it. You watch.
He was on the grind, bro.
Huh?
He was on the grind.
Yeah. He didn't care. He was just getting rich, getting money, and like living this lifestyle, girls and cars and stuff. And then look where that ended up.
Very.
Yeah, but at the same time, everybody was like so inspired by it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Like, oh my God, look at him. He's got loads of money. But like behind the scenes, it's an absolute
As you
mess.
said, divorce.
Yeah,
drugs,
everything. Yeah,
the
prison.
family, prison. Yeah.
And so
Is
like,
that based off a true story?
yeah,
Oh, for real.
yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Wolf of Wall Street, it's crazy how he turns his life around
Yeah,
just based on commission and gets there, has it all, and then it's just
yeah.
gone after that.
But the thing about sales is it's an amazing skill set.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful skill set.
In Callum's podcast, he spoke about that as well. He was like, pretty much 90%. If you know how to sell, you already have a head start against 90% of the world
Yeah,
because
100%.
everything today is sold.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Everything sells really.
mm,
Yeah, even if you're not selling something for money, you're selling, like your attributes to
Yes.
deserve to get to do
Yeah.
something, or like you're selling yourself, or
yeah.
or you're buying someone something. So like, yeah,
That's a great skill they don't teach you as well.
yeah.
Of course.
It's like for to get me on this podcast, you wanted to speak to me first.
Yeah.
I had to qualify almost.
Yeah.
Because like,
That's true,
if I just like told you loads of stuff and you're like, who's this guy? You wouldn't have taken me on. So, like it's kind of like you learn how to, in 10 minutes, tell me about yourself. Like that's a skill set. It's kind of selling in a roundabout way. So like we're always selling something. More importantly, we're always buying something.
Facts.
True.
What was your question?
I didn't have a question to be
Oh, I
honest.
thought you were going to say something.
Oh,
Alright,
no,
so-
it was different.
Oh,
Off camera.
it's different. Off camera. All right. Just based on that, then, yeah. So we talk about some of the skill sets you needed. What were some of the skill sets you needed in the business that you went into when you had the opportunity?
Yeah. So business, first of all, was like dealing with rejection.
How do you deal with rejection?
Dealing with rejection is just like being able to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. That's like something that's like really, really important. And
I think you put it perfectly.
yeah,
I don't think anyone said that so clean.
yeah. And like being as enthusiastic on door number 100 as you are on door number 1, despite 99 losses, because you will get there. So like when you understand the process, and again, like when I made the decision to start business, it wasn't like I'm going to give it 6 months, 12 months. It was like I'm going to be here until it's done. So that always plays in your favor. Rejection is just part of the process. You're going to take 10 times more losses than wins in life, but the wins can be so dramatic, it doesn't really matter. Like the losses are just little losses, and then you can have a big win. So it's like building up faith that it's going to work, helps you with rejection. Also, going and getting rejected is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
I've had some funny stories of like things that have happened to me and things that I've said that I shouldn't have said, and like we've all had that stuff, so yeah, dealing with rejection, networking, like learning how to meet people. Sounds so stupid, but no one really talks to each other anymore. You don't go up to a street and be like, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Dan. What do you do?" Like, no, that doesn't really happen. Like, look at like meet
Especially
in relationships.
Yeah, Birmingham was a lot better.
Yeah, like relationships. Most people meet on Tinder or whatever.
That's what.
And again, like this is my point about this generation is like, you want to go on a date with this person because of this picture.
Did you watch the Diary of the CEO episode with Chris Williamson? Is it Chris Williamson?
No, I haven't.
Where he speaks about exactly what you were saying, how people are on dating apps because it's a lot easier to handle rejection.
Yeah, but like it's the same as all the way back to the beginning. If I marry someone because of their looks fade. Or sorry, not marry. Like I go out with someone because they look good, like in public to everybody else. But they got a diabolical like personality. They're not aligned with you. They don't support you. Like that's not going to last like very long. You know what I'm saying? So like, sorry, come back to the things like, dealing with rejection, learning to network, meet people, how to like bring, how to like bring something to the table, like how to be someone who can contribute, stuff like that. How to build rapport, how to build relationships, how to present, like how to speak, basically, because there's an art of speaking.
Really
like there is an art of like even little things like changing your tone of voice and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a skill. All of those things. How to be a leader, how to be a good leader. Like leadership is one of my favorite topics. Like I listen to John C. Maxwell all the time. People don't really understand what leadership is. It's not a position. Like just because you're the manager of Greg's doesn't make you a leader. It just means you're the manager. People have to follow you. They don't follow you because they want to. In business, people won't follow you because they have to. They'll follow you because they want to. It's a different kind of like thing. So how to be a good leader, how to like, how to sell, how to negotiate, how to see when problems are about to happen. And like entrepreneurship's just like putting out fires, and leadership, I always say that leadership is like putting out fires before your people feel the heat. Like you're the first line and the last line of defense, and your job is to protect people. And sometimes again you have to take losses behind the scenes without anyone knowing. That's just part of like leadership. And that's a skill. Like that is a skill. Or like I guess it's a skill, or it's something in you that you have to learn, that like, okay, I have to go and do that. I need to be the first one to go and do it rather than let other people deal with it. So like invaluable skill sets, invaluable characteristics, like those things, everything you need to learn.
I want to hit you with my personal question I ask all the guests.
Yeah.
What's 7 things that you can't live without?
What's it?
7 things that you can't live without.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah, you personally.
Man, okay. 7 things.
Everybody struggles with this.
Okay,
Everybody
it's just a proper out there question. You're not talking like food or water, that kind of stuff. You're talking about
Not
things
really.
that I value.
Yeah.
That I just can't. Okay. Bloody hell. 7 things that I can't live without. It's such a weird question. I love it though. Okay, like a vision.
Okay.
Like I can't live
First
without.
person to say that.
Yeah, I can't live without knowing I'm working towards something. I have to have something.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I wouldn't live, but I wouldn't be living a good life.
Yeah. Vision.
Contributing.
Contributing.
When you say contributing, are you talking about contributing to the world?
Yeah,
As in
like
giving
doing
value?
doing
Okay.
something like contributing. I'd feel, having fun.
I like that.
Like
I don't think anyone. has
yeah.
said
you come
that.
with pretty unique answers so far.
Yeah, like having, like for me, like as people get to know me, I'm like a really sarcastic, like I love like sarcasm and like got just like a really like sense of humor, which like I just love enjoying it as much as we work hard. Having like having an inspiring circle around me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you say like can't live without, you mean as if like you'd be lost if it wasn't there, right? Not like literally you'd die.
Yeah.
pretty much.
You wouldn't be you.
Yeah,
if you
you
didn't
wouldn't,
have
yeah,
these
100%. Yeah. How many is that? 4, 5, 4.
4.
Yeah.
3 left.
Contribution. Growth, but I guess that's in vision. Like growing.
I mean, they do relate. I'd give it to
Yeah,
you
about
because you
growth.
can have a vision and not grow.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. My dog.
You're the
Okay.
best friend.
Yeah, man. I got to shout him out because
You part of the staff meetings.
mate, he's the staff meeting. Like, just I know I've got one more, but I just want to touch on this. This is funny because like people can relate, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
So like the first like 5, 10, 15 meetings
Yeah.
that I booked, like home meetings, no one showed up.
Yeah.
So I used to do the presentation to my dog, and like, and even to this day, he loves the coffee. Like he always used to drink the coffee.
Yeah.
So it's just funny, man. Like he's still like here to this day,
No.
and
way.
like he's been there from the start
the
to the end.
start.
And sometimes it's funny. I just sit there and think like, I get like time hops and memories pop up, and I'm like doing a presentation at home, and he's always just like sitting there waiting for the coffee. It's just like that. It's so funny. The dogs are amazing. Okay, and I've said inspiring people around me, but I think like relationships, like good connections, like just
like
good
really strong connections.
Yeah, strong connections and people who I can count on, and people that can count on me. It's like they're not necessarily like a really close, like they're not like a best friend or whatever, but they're always there to offer, like to be able to serve or to be able to help me out. So yeah,
I really
that was
I like that.
that was a tough
Great
question,
answers.
man.
All right,
Good answers.
I've got my personal question to you. So, if you could write a letter to let's say a 20-year-old Dan
Yeah,
back in time, what would you say?
I'd literally just be like, everything's gonna be all right. That everything's gonna be okay. I wouldn't have much to say, to be honest with you, because like, again, a great saying, and I'm not nicking this because I've heard it. It was from a reel. It's like everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not the end yet, and if it's not okay, then it's not the end.
I've heard that
You
as
know?
well. I like that.
Let me say it again so it's a bit more clearer.
Go
It's
for
like
it.
everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not okay now, then it's not the end.
Perfect.
So like I would literally just say, you know, like don't worry, like it's gonna get better. Keep moving forward. You know, don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Actually, I would say that because for years that stopped me on so many things. I was so worried about what other people would say and think of me. So yeah, I would just tell myself to just keep going, like stay focused. Or 20-year-old me, actually, I would just say, yeah, keep going. Like everything's gonna get better. Because at the time I wasn't into what I'm into now. But you know, keep going. Don't worry, everything's gonna get better.
What about 35-year-old Dan?
35-year-old Dan, I'm like, congratulations, bro. Yeah, I have a goal like when I'm 35 to be living in a certain place, like in the world, and like throwing my phone in the sea, and going off grid. Have you seen?
Yeah, I think we got the same plan.
Have you seen The Big Short?
The Big Short?
Yeah.
Now what's that?
No.
Oh, what? Okay, The Big Short is basically explains what happened in 2008 when the banking system came down.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch it. It'll open your eyes because we haven't spoke about corruption stuff, but I guess we ain't got time for all that.
Yeah.
But basically, there's like a guy who used to be an investment banker, made all his millions, learned how corrupt the bank systems are and everything is, and then he's like gone off grid. And the only way to get through to him is like via like fax or something. He's got like 15 different phones, and they need him for advice, but they just can't get to him.
Yeah.
And so I always think to myself, when I'm 35, that's going to be me. Uncontactable. And so that's why I'm saying, like, I'm here to just keep serving, because I know
Is that your end goal? Just to be off the grid?
Not my end goal. It's like something that I mean, you know, I might like come to it and be like, no, I don't actually want to do that in the end.
You see, hearing from someone saying that from because I think that was probably one of my plans. It was eventually when I get to a certain point, I just said, yeah, I've done it.
Yeah,
I'll
throw my phone in the sea.
Can't speak to me and do my own thing.
Yeah, but that might change. That could easily
That's
change.
what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Know.
But for now, you know, I'll be like, you know, well done, congratulations, man. You kept going. You're still here. You're still living the life you said you would. Still doing the things you said you would. And yeah.
I'd like to thank you, Dan, for coming on the podcast.
No, I appreciate you guys.
This was a very good episode. This is a very good episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hands are a bit
Oh,
sweaty.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. Thanks for coming down.
Cheers, bro.
Perfect.